start the webinar now. So welcome to everyone around Australia to this first of 5 webinars we're running today, looking at the challenges for accountants in supplying diversified business advisory services, but on a systemized basis, rather than just a one-off for a project, trying to illustrate how you can utilize the products that ESS BIZTOOLS have produced to be able to offer outstanding value-adding services for your clients, services which will stimulate enthusiasm amongst your accounting team because they will be undertaking new, challenging, interesting work. And of course, for your firm, you will be achieving income from a range of diversified services. We also have our Black Friday special, of course. We have a 50% discount on all of our product packages. To review those product packages and to start your subscription processes if you wish, please go to our website at the conclusion of the webinar, www.essbiztools.com.au. We will be continuing the series of webinars with the next webinar at 9 a.m. AEDT, 8 a.m. AEST. So let's get started. And the first one I want to talk to you today about is the research and development, which is available for companies. Now, your client might currently be in a partnership or a sole trader and might have started to do some research and development. If they're serious, they should be looking at switching their entity across to a company. They can only claim the research and development incentive rebate from the time that they are a company. Our systemized product that we have developed primarily for small and medium-sized accounting firms to use is built around our product package. And to ensure that there is a system, we have a procedure control form for virtually every one of the 32 product packages that ESS BIZTOOLS currently has available to you, to accountants, bookkeepers, business advisors, and chief financial officers offering services to SME. There are also 12 flow charts which guide you through the whole process from where we start on the research and development journey, the initial inquiry, to what has to be done before you get underway, approval from the board of directors of the company, and then the record keeping process that's very important. What your role is and obviously what the client's role is. These flow charts have been prepared to assist you to guide your team through staff training as to how this process works, but they're also very important for you to be able to communicate with your clients. We then move into how you go about planning a research and development project, getting ready. Protection of the intellectual property, I think, is very important. It's not part of the tax laws, of course, but making sure that there are confidentiality agreements and restraint of trade agreements. And one of the key terms that the legislation utilizes, and both Oz Industry and the tax office utilize when they're talking about research and development, is the systematic progression of work. This needs to be documented. What was the hypothesis, and then what experiments were conducted to prove or disprove? We need to record the labor costs. So people need to be completing timesheets or some other type of labor recording that the time has been allocated to the individual components of the research and development activities. Same with contractors' costs, and same with any external professionals, whether they're universities or professional consultants that have been hired to assist in this process. There needs to be a record kept of the other direct costs, and they could be a range of items, from rent of facilities being utilised for the conduct of the research and development activities, electricity, motor vehicle expenses for travelling to undertake research projects. So all of that supporting research and development expenditure will also be summarised. So we've got forms that cover all this. What has got to be done is the client's got to record these costs. The system guides you through having discussions and training sessions with the client. We're then going to look at the feedstock adjustment. That's when some of the products being produced from the research and development project are actually sold. So there's income received. There is then an adjustment to the amount of the claim for research and development incentive rebate that the company is going to be able to make. And if there's been any other government grants received by the company that relate to what has been undertaken in the research and development project, there is this process called clawback, where the amount of the claim for research and development is also going to be adjusted. We then have the checklist for the research and development tax incentive. There's 13 papers in the overall system, and there's workbooks. So that's a summary of what's contained within research and development. I think it's an interesting area. Normally there's around 14 to 16,000 companies around Australia claim the research and development tax rebate. A significant number of those, probably around 60 to 70%, are SME type entities. So are you looking at what your clients are doing? But with the lockdown situation for the last 2 years, I expect that that number of claimants this year could be up around 20,000, as more and more people probably did some R&D at home. And I'd be suggesting that you inquire of your clients. Have they been undertaking any research and development activities? Do they want to get an understanding of what the research and development claiming process is? Because this can be very interesting work. And we call this the start of the research and development journey. And it is a journey. And it can be a great journey for your client, but also for your professional firm. Because there's a lot more in this journey than the initial research and development, as I'm going to explain to you shortly. So the research and development system is a complete system in itself. There's a white label version that you can download onto your client's computer, because the client is primarily responsible for maintaining the records. But the vast majority of clients will need your guidance and your input. Quite frankly, once the system's set up, your role's more of an auditor, making sure they've kept all the records, that they're all filed, they're kept, because it might be 3 to 4 years' time before any inquiries are received from the tax office. There is an annual return that has to be lodged within 10 months at the end of the financial year. So that's normally the 30th of April, the following year, to AusIndustry. And they then give their approval, but they're basically reviewing the details that have been submitted, normally by you as the accountant, summarizing the work that's been undertaken. And that information will come from the records that are contained within this system that your client's going to be keeping. We also present mentoring sessions throughout the year based on the level of subscription. And you can also buy some extra mentoring time if you wish, so we can guide you through this overall process. So research and development, I think, is a great area for firms to be involved in. And it gives you the starter. It's the kickoff to get involved in this R&D journey. The second component of the R&D journey is the Accelerating Commercialization Grant. This is administered by the Entrepreneurs Program, which is part of AusIndustry. It's one of hundreds of grants offered by the Australian state and territory governments, but this is a grant of up to $1 million on a 50% basis. And it's to cover the work from the time the research and development is finished or a prototype has been developed until the product is able to make its first full commercial sale. And there's a lot of costs for most businesses in that time. That's why the government's offering $1 million grant to the companies. So that's on the assumption they know in some cases there is $2 million worth of work. This grant is a key component of the research and development journey, because unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that there's a whole range of other expenses to be incurred once you get to an initial prototype. And the initial prototype could vary significantly from what is the final prototype. So all of those costs can be incorporated within the Accelerating Commercialization grant system. The next area that I want to talk to you about is, I think, a very exciting one, and unfortunately an area that not enough people are aware of. And that is the early stage innovation company. If you can set the scene, your client has completed research and development. They may have spent $300,000 or $400,000 or even more of their own money. They will get a rebate at if their turnover is under $20 million at 43.5% of that expenditure. So they've still had a net outlay of considerable sum of money. And they then move into the realization that it's going to cost them another $500,000, $600,000 to do all the work that's necessary to get their product into a final commercialization ready for selling position. It might be legal fees. It might be registering of patents around the world. It might be developing the user manuals and the training manuals and training the initial deliverers of training. It doesn't cover marketing costs, but it will cover the development of the marketing plan. Definitely covers the development of an upgraded business plan. So we then say, well, where's the company going to get their 50% share? The government might be happy to hand over $500,000, $600,000 to do this work on a 50% basis, or even $1 million. Where's the company going to get its money from? Some may have it. Some may be able to borrow it because they've got spare assets, but the majority of them are always looking for money, aren't they? So this is why the government a few years ago introduced early stage innovation company. It's the stablemate of crowdsourced funding equity raising that we're going to refer to later in this series of webinars today. But early stage innovation companies status was put in place to help young companies, not young executives, but young companies to be able to get their prototype finalized and in a commercial ready status, so they can make the first sale. So there's a calculator that we've included because there's a step-by-step process, and it starts with the test time, is what the legislation refers to it as. And this is that the company generally has to be under 3 years of age, although there are some instances when it can be up to 6 years of age. The income of the company in the previous 12 months has to be less than $200,000, not including any accelerating commercialization grant. And the expenditure has to be under $1 million in the previous 12 months. So the company can pass that. And then they can elect to undertake either the gateway test or the principles test. Now, the gateway test is a series of questions that they earn points. They need to accumulate 100 points. If they've already undertaken some research and development activities in the previous 12 months, and the research and development expenditure accounts for more than 50% of their total expenditure, they earn 75 points. They've only got to get 100, so that's giving them a great boost. If they've spent between 15% and 49.9% of the expenditure of the company on research and development, they earn 50 points. If they've been admitted to the Accelerating Commercialization Program, they earn 75 points. So in both of those, they're well and truly past 100. So they qualify as a gateway under the gateway test. If they've been admitted to an accelerator program, they earn 50 points. If they've already raised $50,000 from arm's length investors for ordinary shares in the company, they earn 50 points. And if they've already got a patent that can be registered anywhere in the world, they earn 50 points. And there's a couple of other aspects that they can earn points of 25 to 50 points. So if that accumulates to 100, they have self-qualified under the gateway test. They don't have to submit anything at that stage to the tax office. But if they fail the gateway test, and that might be because they're very new and they haven't had a chance to do some of those things yet, they can then undertake the principles test. The principles test asks them 5 questions built around, are they concentrating on this as a business? Has it got a market presence? Has it got the potential to be a product that can be sold in a broad market? And they answer this, put their replies into the form which we've designed, which the company can then sign off on and submit to the tax office to get approval. Because under the principles test, they have to apply for approval. It takes about 6 weeks, and the tax office and Oz Industry issue approval. So that's how the early stage innovation company process works. They're then in a position to be able to prepare their summary of the due diligence, and the ESS system includes all the forms for this, so that they have a complete file that they're able to submit to investors, because investors receive significant taxation benefits. That's the carrot for them to invest in these companies. So the system that we have developed systemizes each step of this. All you've got to do is get the forms completed, make sure the complementary supporting documents are available. The benefits that the investors get is that they avoid capital gains tax on those shares if they hold them for more than 12 months. And if they still hold those shares after 10 years, there's a revaluation done and they have a new cost price determined. And they also receive a tax rebate calculated at 20% of their investment. The maximum investment that a retail investor can make in one of these companies is $50,000. So the maximum rebate for a retail investor is $10,000. The maximum rebate available to a sophisticated investor is $200,000. So that's obviously calculated on an investment of $1 million, but a sophisticated investor could invest more than $1 million if they wish. We have 3 papers explaining this process. You've got all of the forms that I've mentioned in this summary. It's all part of the system, and it works very well. And you have now helped the client on their research and development journey. If you started with them at research and development, then on the Accelerating Commercialization grant, and then on the capital raising for early stage innovation company. And just think for a moment, please, of what that really entails. The company won't be able to do all this and raise capital from mainly sophisticated investors unless it has developed the business plan, budgets, cash flow forecasts, all of those documents looking at the next 3 to 5 years. They have a dedicated and very keen leadership team. They have a vision for where they want to go with their business. I think it would be a great assignment for your firm to undertake this process, to guide your client through. Most of these businesses are small businesses today. They are traditionally the clients of small and medium-sized accounting firms. This is your opportunity to retain them without encouraging them to go off to other firms, bigger firms, because you're not supplying the services. Let's move on. We also have a debtors management system. We start with our procedure control form, which is implementing the system, because that is very important. We've got 37 forms of all parts of the debtors process, looking at a debtors review questionnaire, a welcome to new customer letter. I find that a lot of businesses don't send a new letter to their new customers. Why not? It's an opportunity to confirm the terms of trade. It's also an opportunity to give an initial marketing message and make sure that there's internal advice given to the sales and marketing department, anyone else that we've got a new customer. But the debtors days outstanding calculation worksheet, I think, is vital, because far too many of the SMEs don't know what their debtors days outstanding is. And I think it's disastrous that Australia a few years ago won an international award, very dubious award, because according to that, out of 80 countries, Australia had the longest debtors days outstanding in the world. That's nothing to be proud about, is it? And a few years later, there's been a further examination made, and it said that the debtors days outstanding had reduced by 0.4 days after the federal government and some big businesses said they would pay SMEs within 30 days. So I suspect we're still the largest, or one of the largest, debtors days outstanding countries in the world. This is a way that you can make a contribution to reducing that. And it's not just for national pride, of course, is it? It's also for cash flow control within the company, because if you can get the debtors days outstanding reduced from 70 days back to around 40 days for most of your clients, that's a significant amount of cash that either puts money into their bank account, reduces their bank overdraft, or something. It's far better to be in their pockets than someone else's. So there's a debtors reduction checklist, and there's a summary on the personal property securities register, because a lot of people don't know how that works, especially when it comes to their debtors. And that leads us into the personal property securities register. I don't like this legislation, but it doesn't matter whether I like it, or it doesn't matter whether you like it, with respect. The system is there, it's been introduced. There's been a lot of teething problems with it. There's been about $450 million lost by Australian businesses through ignorance or misunderstandings of this legislation. $65 million was lost by a subsidiary of one of the world's top 100 business groups, an American corporation, lost 65 million on a mining site in Perth, in Western Australia, because they misunderstood the rules. So if a huge company like that with all sorts of advisors involved can make that mistake, which went to the New South Wales Supreme Court for a decision, what are your SME clients doing? So you need to have an understanding of how this works yourself, and we've got that in our system, and make sure your clients, particularly, I think, the tradie type clients who are dealing with major contractors and getting progress payments, because they can get caught up in liquidator claims for preferential payments. And that's the trap that they will then have to refund them. We have checklists for various types of entities, as you can see there: retail businesses, tradies, livestock, farmers, to guide you through the process of understanding how this particular legislation works. And there's 3 papers that explain various aspects of how the personal property securities register works. One of the key things when undertaking a debtors review is to make sure that the person in charge of debtors has a full appreciation of how the personal property securities register operates, because there is a requirement for documents to be signed and returned to your client. So the new customer needs to sign the retention of title agreement and the terms of trade agreement and return it, because there is a document to be lodged with the Personal Property Securities Register within 21 days. It's not those actual forms, but the company needs to be able to state that they have received those forms signed by their new customer, returned to them. I think it's important that the person who has got this responsibility within your client's businesses, the poor old person looking after debtors, has an appreciation of this. So what we're trying to illustrate to you today is that every one of the systems within ESS BIZTOOLS is a system. We start with a procedure control form, which sets it out. We provide you a range of forms, which we call business advisory services forms. And then we support the whole thing with some papers. We write detailed papers and PowerPoint slides so that you can conduct staff training amongst your own team, first of all, to make sure that they have a full understanding of how all of this system works. And so that you and them, your team, are able to communicate how these functions work with your clients. I cannot make any apologies to you, but business advisory services is different. It covers a range of commercial areas. These are the areas that your clients are involved with virtually every day. And if you were employed full-time working for your client as the accountant or chief financial officer or company secretary, administration manager, you would be involved in these types of activities. And I believe that if, as accountants in public practice, we are going to offer ourselves to clients as being able to offer business advisory services and chief financial officer services, you need to be able to understand all of these commercial processes that are happening in your clients' businesses. So let's move on. It's Black Friday, end of lockdowns also. So we were planning to have a celebration, and we had started it on the end of lockdowns. And we thought, well, Black Friday, we had a Black Friday event a couple of years ago. And as everyone's a lot happier this year than what they were this time last year, we decided to have our Black Friday and end of lockdown special in one. So we have a 50% discount on all of our product packages. There's 32 product packages in ESS BIZTOOLS. Our computer consultant has manipulated the system so that anyone that goes there from today to the Monday, the 6th of December, and logs on to subscribe, you'll notice that the price is reduced by 50% as soon as you access that product. We also had the advanced package, which was what we were promoting. It's normally $6,500. It's been reduced to $3,250. The advanced package includes the full 32 packages that ESS BIZTOOLS has produced. Plus, you receive 4 one-hour mentoring sessions, which we conduct by Zoom. So we go through the process so that you have a complete understanding of how everything works. The other product which we had been promoting is the Business Advisory Services Starter Package. This is only $999 for upfront payment, including GST. It's normally $2,100. You receive 17 packages in that particular configuration so that you're able to get started. You might only be a very small, you might be a solo practitioner or a very small accounting firm, and you wanting to offer a broader range of services. Well, why not look at the starter package? It gives you enough information to be able to promote the services because you receive our monthly newsletter that's part of the package that you badge and send to your clients. And it includes other material to help you promote and market that you're now doing these additional services. And it also gives you the tools, the systemized tools that you can start delivering. It includes a couple of the products that I've talked to you this morning. All of the details are on our website, www.essbiztools.com.au. If you have any questions, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. And as I said, these prices are available under the 6th of December. We also have an offer from our affiliates. We have a number of people who are affiliates. They're allied organizations within supporting accountants. Amanda Gascoigne, who is an expert in small firms and solo firms, is offering the first 10 firms to register on our site today and into next week to get a complimentary small and solo practice coaching session. Paul Barnaby from Beyond Accounting Technologies is offering a complete review on your systems relative to the preparation of budgets and cash flow forecasts. This normally costs $695. He's going to do that for free for the first 20 acceptors. Priscilla B. Smith from Cloud9 Associates is a consulting business, and they have a special promotion on relative to a small business concession course. If you give her a feedback report, the first 5 people to do that will be reimbursed the net fee, which has already been discounted by 57% of $214.66. Smith Inc., our great friends, Mark Holton and David Smith, are finally getting round to running their Young Gun Conference. They've tried for the last 2 years, but it's definitely scheduled for the Gold Coast, 21-22 February. And there's a special offer that's available. And if you click onto our website, you'll find the details and you can register your young accountants to go to that. And Blackstone Business Group, Jordan Lowry, who's a human resources expert, workplace health and safety, has a special package there on the employment contract package, reduced to $399. And Brad Smart, who's a communications expert. And communications are very important for accountants these days. Selling the message is the name of his business and also the name of his latest book. And he will do some writing for you for the first 10 firms. So there's plenty of offers. You can get one, you pick which one you want. And we will send you the introduction to the particular affiliate that you've selected so that you can take advantage of that offer. Thank you for being with us today. I hope that you've got enough information to proceed with joining the ESS BizTools team. There's our contact information if you need to contact me. And thank you for being with us today. And I hope that everything is going fine for you. So have a great day, and I'll catch you later on. If you wish to join us for the remaining 4 webinars this morning, you're most welcome. You just need to register. Please go to our website to do that. And we'll see you again in about 25 minutes if you're coming back. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.